Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Robert Syfert, who's the co-founder and chief visionary at realestateinvestor.com. Robert, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Looking forward to today.
Yeah, me too. And one of the first things that jumps out at me is your domain, realestateinvestor.com. I'm certain that was a hard domain to get because that's a pretty a high value domain, right?
Yeah, and it tends to be the topic of conversation everywhere we walk into. It just awesome. The simple version of the story was we actually got a really good deal on it during the crash of the market back in 2008, and then we didn't launch it publicly until some companies came together recently.
You know, that's a great comment. It makes me think of back in the 30s when the Great Depression happened, and they said the people that came through the Great Depression that were better off than when they started were the ones that took advantage of opportunities. Well, the crash of 07, 08, I remember it well. I was in the financial services industry, and it just hit you like a shot in the gut. But you were astute enough to go, why don't I at least stake my claim and get this domain, and then you built it off from there as time went by. So give us a little bit of your background and your entrepreneurial journey as it relates to real estate investing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the normal guy, right? I just knew right off the bat that I wanted to do real estate, and I jumped in and did it, and all was successful. No, I'm just kidding. The truth is, I grew up born and raised in a house that taught you to, go get good grades, go to school, get a good job, and then get promoted through life. And so I spent over a decade wanting to do real estate and actually doing nothing except for studying it, reading about it, thinking I never knew enough to go do it. And then finally one day, about 8-9 years ago, I went all in. I just realized it was time to burn the boats. Something clicked for me with some mentoring I was going through, and I went all into real estate. And I learned the hard way that everything I had learned by reading books and studying things, while it gave me some good knowledge, all got tweaked. And I learned way more through taking action in real estate and actually doing it than I had learned the previous decade. And so I had a fast track to learning. And my real estate journey over the years has been very simple. I started off wholesaling, not knowing that that's what it was called, but that's what I was doing. Turned into reverse wholesaling, turned into flipping rental properties, which I ended up learning and caveating turnkey rentals, and owned a property management business that grew to over 500 doors. And a very successful business that moved states, was expanding markets and building software to order to do that expansion. And then in that, I found a nice little niche in the software industry for real estate, and that there was a massive need that I had created solving my own problem. And so I started going down that venture almost 4.5-5 years ago, and launched a software product, and eventually sold my management business, downsized my real estate business. I've actually, as of today, just sold off the last part of my real estate operation. From a scaling perspective, I still flip real estate here and there just for fun, and buy rentals and hold them. But today my full focus is on the software and changing the industry. And, over the last couple of years, rightfully so, I won't take credit for the domain. I met a partner who was fortunate enough to be smart enough at the time and had the opportunity to buy the domain, and he did. And when we met, we merged businesses, one under that brand with my software and his services, and obviously a tremendously great name to operate under.
Well, I think to unpack a few of the things you mentioned there, it's just so perfect. You can, interweave in some life lessons, some business lessons, and sometimes you said, oh, I read this and I knew that, but logically you knew some things, but knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. You've got to put it into action. And until you put it into action at that point and then started learning from your mistakes, the School of Hard Knocks and whatever, those books, those courses give you a great foundation or a prep, but until you learned those mistakes and it was seared into your gut and your memory, like, ooh, this didn't work well. How could I have done it differently? How should I do it differently? Okay, I'm going to do it this way. Now you can kind of be that guide to people and kind of like be the jungle guide with the machete, forging the way, going, come on this way. I know the way through the jungle. And so I think that's a really a powerful depiction of your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. One of the biggest lessons I've had as I've reflected back on all of that, and said simply everything you just said is applied knowledge is power. So we seek and we learn and we do all these things and we study and we search, but we tend, and I, speaking from myself, so I'm not putting this on anyone, but we walk out of rooms that we go to these events and we learn a ton of information and then we walk out and do nothing with it.
Yep.
And we lose all the power the moment we don't apply it. Yeah, there's so many valuable lessons that you're going to learn, and that all of that is a foundation or a template to run with, and figure it out on your own or have someone guide you.
100%. It's like those sayings that you hear, knowledge is power. No, applied knowledge is power. How about this one? You either win or and the audience goes lose, and you're like, no, you win or you learn, right? You got to learn from those mistakes when you lose. Or how about practice makes, perfect. No. Perfect practice makes perfect, because you know what? You could be, I play guitar, and I could be practicing something incorrectly, and it ain't going to make me perfect. It's going to make me sear in that bad whatever that it was. So perfect practice and applied knowledge. Well, when you can talk to someone like yourself that's been there, done that, and then wrote the code to fix it, now let's kind of talk about automation. Because I feel like if your solution is this automation, I feel like a misconception could be people going, oh, cool. All I got to do is push this button and sit back with the remote control and poof, here's the road to the easy life. You still got to work. It's just that your automation can make things easier and faster and shorten the cycle. So talk a little bit about, what your automation does.
I love the way that you started that, because that is so true, right? Everyone sees that, and where's the easy button? What's the automation that I just get checks in the mail? Yeah, it doesn't work like that. The most that automation is going to do, and what ours does, is we figured out what the biggest problem was and where the biggest thing was failing in our business. It happened to be all the people that we had to hire, the VAs, to do the comp service. That sounds like nothing, right? Until you realize 10 to 20 minutes times hundreds of leads is hours spent doing that, or following up with a simple text or a phone call or an email. And when you're manually doing a lot of that stuff, again, 2 minutes here, 5 minutes there sounds like nothing, but scaling, or you want to work less yourself and have a better lifestyle, automation makes all of the little mundane work get done for you automatically. So it frees you up so that you can do the work on the most productive things that are going to make you money. Or as one of my mentors said that I love, is you should be spending all of your time doing your RGAs, or your revenue generating activities. Everything else that can be automated should, not because you won't do work, you just won't waste your time doing unproductive, non-revenue generating work, and you'll be able to focus your efforts where you're going to make the most for your buck or have the best outcome for yourself.
Well, it's like you said. I think that a lot of people, executives, let's say, or in this case, you're working with people that you're looking to build that platform of wealth through real estate. Well, it only takes. Well, I could do that, but the highest and best use of your time might not be that minutia. And it only did take 4 minutes on this one thing, but that times whatever. Now, wow, that literally could be, let's just pick a number, 3 hours a day. Well, if those 3 hours a day were refocused into the highest and best activities, the result generating activities, what then could be done? And that's pretty huge.
That's it. And that's it, right? And I love how you started it in the very beginning, because you still have to do work. You just get to choose to do smarter work. That's all. Yeah. That's the only difference. But you still have to work. There is no button that says, I'm going to sit back, do no work, and make a windfall. I mean, there's lottery tickets and there's hope, but that doesn't really pan out for 99.9% ever.
100%. So I'm on your website, and I love the page where it says doing it all yourself versus done for you. So talk a little bit about some of the done for you and the automations with marketing, fulfillment, and systems and things like that. What are some of the high level benefits that your software can take the minutia off the plate to allow someone to then do the work in the most productive areas?
Yeah, it's just coming down to, right, at some point, if you're going to scale, there are people that need to do things, right? Like and it's still the same thing, right? So there's a level of automation. You can automate a lot of stuff through software and still do the work yourself or with a 1 or 2 person team, right? As you scale, though, the things are typically going to start scaling, and you're going to do it yourself until you figure out you're doing an $8 an hour job or a $10 an hour job, right? That's pulling all of your lists so that you can do marketing and generate leads. It's putting your marketing out there, whether it be sending your direct mail on a timely schedule, doing your text messaging, doing your cold calling, your outbound outreach and stuff to generate, right? Then there's the next level of, again, something an $8 to $10 an hour employee could do, that is handling all of the influx of the marketing that you now generated to have the conversations to find out who's actually interested in doing business with you so that you can get to the revenue part, which is negotiating the terms with the people who actually have interest, right? Well, there's a lot of work that you are either doing it all yourself because you think you're the only one that could do it, a common phrase I grew up with, right? No one does it better than me. Yeah. Or you're hiring that out, which you can go and find, train, manage, and hire all those people. Or in our case, we just have all that figured out for real estate, and we take that off your plate for a much lower cost than you actually hiring, training, and taking the time to manage all the different people that would take to orchestrate all the things that get you to the table to actually have the negotiation on the one thing. If you want to buy houses, here's what I know. You've got to make an offer on the house, and then there has to be a contract. So how about you spend all of your time on that one piece that is the most pivotal piece in everything, and let all the other mundane tasks that bring you to that point get done for you?
Yes, 100%. And you know, I think from marketing, messaging, and psychology, that phrase "for you" makes someone consciously and subconsciously kind of go, "Oh yeah, when someone is doing something for me, yes, that's what I need to do." And then, you know what? I'll bet you have this too. Don't you have a playbook, a blueprint, checklist, whatever you want to call it, but the path to success where you go, hey guys, here's the automation. Now, here's the things you should be doing at this stage. So if you can do this and then check it off, and then when that's checked off, you do this. Does that exist for the people that you work with that they can just follow?
Yeah, 100%. And that's a great point, right? There is a blueprint to success. There is a template that fills in, take step 1, step 2, step 3, say this. If they say that, here's the answer. And it's the template, right? And then as you go through that, in our team, right? And so as you're hiring, training, and managing, that's a whole other thing. I didn't even unpack all of that. There's all of that. What's the playbook for them to follow? Yeah. What are you managing them to? What are you training them on? We have all that figured out and dialed in, so you don't have to figure none of that out. That's just taking that all off your plate and following a process that's already proven and works and leads to success. And then, of course, tweaking the little tiny things that you would say different that fit your personality, because everyone has their own personality and should put their own flavor or flair on it. But it sure helps when 90% of what you need is already laid out for you.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the old Star Wars episode, you know, when Princess Leia goes, guide me, or help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. And I'm sure you come across with many investors that have been like, been there, done that, fail. Wiser is different. So let's wrap up with that question, Robert. When someone comes to you, they probably many times have gone and done and tried and failed, or, you know, not been delivered the results that they promised. And then here's your deliverables that really sound quite attractive. Why is it that it's going to work, and what sets your program apart?
That is an absolutely great question. And the simple answer to it is most of what you've tried or done or failed on, right, and learned a lesson from, hopefully, is you. We've done this at the super scale of managing this for hundreds of different people across the entire country. We've tracked every single thing meticulously. And I don't say that to say, hey, we've got it perfect and you don't. The reality is we have just failed faster and more times than you ever could. So we learned and iterated faster than you ever could because we've already sent well over 70 million pieces of mail. We've handled over 4 or 5 million phone calls and tracked and listened to and tweaked and modified and learned and redid. And so the difference is our process is just proven and been thrown out there faster to getting to the problem and solving it and tweaking it and modifying it than you could ever do on your own. So the benefit is you can continue to figure things out on your own and you will get there at some point at your pace. Or you run with someone who's already figured that all out and is going to continue doing that at a massive scale, and you get the benefit of learning from that massive scale instead of just on your own.
Yes. Well, I think that's spectacular, and I really appreciate you coming on today and bringing us up to speed on some of the things that you're doing to help create that generational wealth through real estate. So what's the best way that someone can reach out, connect with you, learn more about your software?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 ways. One, obviously you can go to our site that everyone's seen, realestateinvestor.com, and it opens you to everything that we have. If you'd like, you can also go to my personal page, IamRob360.com, and on there I actually give a free giveaway for our software and some downloadable free links that you can get some free stuff that'll help you in any part of the process you're trying to learn right now, free contracts, etc.
Perfect. Well, I will make sure both of those are in the show notes, and really appreciate your time coming on today. I really learned a whole lot, and I think that you've got a wonderful program.
Thank you, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.